Project Hail Mary. Introduction. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir is a science fiction novel that combines hard science with adventure, humor, and deep emotional resonance. Published in 2021, it tells the story of Ryland Grace, a former middle school science teacher who wakes up aboard a spaceship with no memory of how he got there, only to discover he's humanity's last hope for survival. The novel opens with Grace awakening in what appears to be a medical bay, completely disoriented and suffering from amnesia. Through a series of scientific deductions and gradual memory recovery, he pieces together not only his identity, but also the dire circumstances that led him to be alone on a spacecraft millions of miles from Earth. The Astrophage crisis. As Grace's memories slowly return, the reader learns about the catastrophic situation that threatens all life on Earth. The crisis begins with the discovery of astrophage, microscopic organisms that consume stellar energy and reproduce at an alarming rate. These organisms were first detected as they began infecting the sun, causing a gradual but significant dimming of solar radiation. The astrophage represents an existential threat to Earth because as they multiply and consume the sun's energy, they reduce the amount of light and heat reaching Earth. Scientists calculate that without intervention, Earth's average temperature will drop dramatically within a few decades, leading to global crop failures, ecosystem collapse, and ultimately human extinction. What makes astrophage particularly dangerous is their incredible efficiency at energy conversion and their exponential reproduction rate. They essentially eat photons and convert stellar energy into biomass, creating more astrophage in the process. The organisms appear to be spreading throughout the solar system, and their presence around other stars suggests this is not an isolated incident. Grace's background and expertise. Ryland Grace wasn't always destined to save humanity. He was a middle school science teacher who had previously been a researcher in microbiology. His academic career had been derailed years earlier when he published a controversial paper about the possibility of life existing in extreme conditions, specifically, life that could survive in space or on other planets without traditional energy sources. Grace's theory, which was initially dismissed by the scientific community, suggested that life could potentially exist using exotic forms of energy conversion. This theoretical work, combined with his practical knowledge of microbiology and his ability to think creatively about biological systems, makes him uniquely qualified to understand and potentially combat the astrophage threat. His teaching background also proves valuable throughout the mission. Grace has a talent for breaking down complex scientific concepts into understandable terms, a skill that serves him well when he must solve unprecedented problems under extreme pressure. His educational approach to problem-solving, methodical, patient, and willing to start from basic principles becomes crucial to his survival and success. The Hail Mary mission. The international scientific community's response to the astrophage crisis is Project Hail Mary, humanity's desperate attempt to find a solution before Earth becomes uninhabitable. The project involves sending a spacecraft to Ceti, a nearby star system where astronomers have observed something unusual. Ceti appears to be resistant to astrophage infection, or possibly has found a way to eliminate the organisms. The Hail Mary spacecraft is humanity's most advanced technological achievement, designed for a one-way journey of over 12 light-years. The ship is equipped with revolutionary propulsion technology that uses astrophage themselves as fuel, essentially turning the enemy into a power source. This astrophage-powered engine can achieve significant fractions of light speed, making the journey to Ceti possible within a human lifetime. The mission plan is ambitious and desperate. Send a crew to Ceti to investigate why that star system appears immune to astrophage, discover the mechanism behind this immunity, and somehow transmit that information back to Earth. The spacecraft is equipped with everything needed for long-term space travel, scientific research, and hopefully, the salvation of humanity. Grace is selected for the mission not just because of his expertise, but because of his psychological profile. The mission planners know this is essentially a suicide mission. The crew will likely never return to Earth. They need someone who can handle the isolation, stress, and moral weight of carrying humanity's future on their shoulders. The journey and isolation. When Grace awakens on a Hail Mary, he gradually discovers that he is alone. His two crewmates have died during the journey, victims of the medical coma system that was supposed to preserve them during the long interstellar voyage. The ship's life support systems show that Grace has been unconscious for years, traveling through space while Earth's fate hangs in the balance. This isolation becomes one of the novel's central themes. Grace must not only solve the scientific puzzle of defeating astrophage, but also maintain his sanity while completely alone in the vastness of space. His internal monologue reveals both his scientific reasoning and his emotional struggles, showing how he copes with the crushing responsibility and loneliness. The ship itself becomes a character in the story. Grace must learn to operate and maintain complex systems he was only partially trained on, often improvising solutions with limited resources. His engineering challenges range from basic repairs to complex modifications of scientific equipment, all while operating under the constraint that any major system failure could doom both him and Earth. Grace's isolation is made more poignant by his gradual recovery of memories about Earth, his students, his colleagues, and the life he left behind. These memories serve as both motivation and torment, reminding him of what he's fighting to save while emphasizing how unlikely he is to ever see any of it again. First contact. Meeting Rocky. The novel takes a dramatic turn when Grace discovers he is not alone in the Ceti system. Another spacecraft is present, apparently also investigating the same stellar phenomena that brought Grace there. This leads to one of the most remarkable first contact scenarios in science fiction literature. The alien being Grace encounters, whom he nicknames Rocky, comes from a species that evolved on a planet orbiting 40 Eridani. Rocky's species faces the same astrophage crisis that threatens Earth, and Rocky's mission parallels Grace's, find a solution to save their home world. The initial communication between Grace and Rocky is a masterpiece of scientific problem-solving and linguistic creativity. With no common language or cultural reference points, they must develop a method of communication from scratch. They start with basic mathematics and physics, gradually building a vocabulary that allows them to share complex ideas about science, their respective missions, and their species. Rocky's physiology is fascinatingly alien yet logically consistent with his home environment. He's a rock-like being made of what appears to be living stone, with multiple arms and a radically different sensory apparatus than humans. His species evolved on a planet with much higher gravity and a very different atmospheric composition, leading to a body plan that seems utterly foreign yet perfectly adapted to his environment. The partnership. What begins as cautious contact evolves into a deep partnership and friendship. Grace and Rocky realize they can accomplish far more working together than either could alone. Their combined knowledge, different perspectives, and complementary skills make them a formidable problem-solving team. The partnership is tested by various challenges throughout their mission. They must learn to trust each other despite their vast differences, overcome communication barriers when discussing complex scientific concepts, and coordinate their efforts while operating from different spacecraft with incompatible technologies. One of the most touching aspects of their relationship is how they begin to understand and appreciate each other's cultures and values. Grace learns about Rocky's family structure, social systems, and the beauty Rocky finds in mathematics and physics. Rocky, in turn, comes to understand human emotions, creativity, and the importance Grace places on individual life and choice. Their friendship becomes the emotional heart of the novel. Despite being members of entirely different species who evolved on worlds light years apart, Grace and Rocky develop a bond based on mutual respect, shared purpose, and genuine affection. This relationship transforms what could have been a cold, technical story about saving civilizations into a deeply human and alien tale about friendship and sacrifice. Scientific discoveries and challenges. The core scientific mystery of the novel revolves around understanding why Tau Ceti is resistant to astrophage while other stars are not. Grace and Rocky's investigation reveals that Tau Ceti hosts a unique ecosystem in space, microscopic life forms that feed on astrophage, effectively acting as a natural predator that keeps the astrophage population in check. These astrophage predators, which Grace names Taumoeba, represent a potential solution to the crisis threatening both Earth and Rocky's homeworld. However, harvesting and transporting these organisms presents enormous challenges. The Taumoeba are extremely sensitive to environmental conditions and appear to require specific temperatures, radiation levels, and chemical compositions to survive and reproduce. The scientific work required to understand and cultivate Taumoeba pushes both Grace and Rocky to the limits of their knowledge and creativity. They must conduct experiments in zero gravity, work with alien biochemistry, and solve problems that no one from either of their species has ever encountered before. Grace's background in microbiology proves crucial, but he must adapt his knowledge to work with organisms that evolved in the vacuum of space around an alien star. Rocky's expertise in his species' advanced materials science and engineering provides essential tools and techniques for their research. The experimental work is complicated by the limited resources available on their spacecraft, the need to maintain sterile conditions in space, and the constant pressure of time. Every day they spend researching is another day that their home world moved closer to extinction. The moral dilemma. As Grace and Rocky near a breakthrough in cultivating Taumoeba, they face a devastating realization. They have only enough resources to save one of their home worlds. The Taumoeba cultivation process requires materials and energy that would allow them to produce enough organisms to seed either Earth's solar system or Rocky's, but not both. This creates an agonizing moral dilemma that tests both their friendship and their individual values. Each being has a responsibility to their own species, but they've also developed a deep personal bond that makes the idea of condemning the other's world almost unbearable. Grace struggles with the weight of this decision, knowing that billions of lives hang in the balance. His teaching background has instilled in him a deep respect for all life and learning, making it almost impossible for him to choose one world over another. Rocky faces a similar struggle, torn between duty to his species and loyalty to his friend. The moral complexity of the situation is compounded by practical considerations. Earth and Rocky's world have different needs, different timelines for implementing a solution, and different chances of successfully integrating Taumoeba into their respective ecosystems. The ultimate sacrifice. In a decision that defines both Grace's character and the novel's central themes, Grace chooses to sacrifice Earth's chance at salvation to save Rocky's world. His reasoning is partly practical. Rocky's world has a better chance of successfully implementing the Taumoeba solution, but mostly emotional. Grace has come to care deeply for Rocky and cannot bring himself to condemn his friend's species to extinction. This choice represents the ultimate expression of friendship and altruism. Grace gives up his own world, his own species, and any chance of returning home to save the world of someone he's known for only a short time. It's a decision that speaks to the novel's themes about the value of individual relationships, the nature of heroism, and what it means to be truly selfless. The sacrifice is made more poignant by Grace's memories of Earth, his students, his colleagues, and the life he's leaving behind. He knows he's condemning everyone he's ever known, but he also knows that he's saving everyone Rocky has ever known. Rocky initially resists Grace's sacrifice, unwilling to accept salvation at the cost of his friend's world. This leads to some of the novel's most emotionally powerful scenes, as two beings from different species struggle with impossible choices and the weight of civilization's fates. The return journey. After successfully cultivating enough Taumoeba to save Rocky's world, the two friends must part ways. Rocky returns to his home system to implement the solution, while Grace faces the long journey back to Earth, knowing that he will likely arrive too late to save humanity, but feeling compelled to try anyway. The return journey becomes a meditation on hope, determination, and the value of trying even when success seems impossible. Grace modifies his ship's systems to maximize his chances of survival during the long trip home, but he knows the odds are against him. His motivation comes not from expectation of success, but from the belief that the attempt itself has value. During the journey, Grace continues his research, hoping to find alternative solutions or improvements to the Taumoeba cultivation process. His scientific work becomes a way of maintaining hope and purpose during the long, lonely voyage home. The return journey also allows Grace to reflect on his experiences, his friendship with Rocky, and the choices he's made. These reflections provide insight into his character and the novel's themes, showing how the mission has changed him and how he's come to understand the true meaning of heroism and sacrifice. The surprising conclusion. In a twist that redefines the entire story, Grace's return to Earth reveals that his sacrifice was not in vain. Rocky, after successfully saving his own world, has spent years developing technology to save Earth as well. Using his species' advanced engineering capabilities and the knowledge gained from their joint research, Rocky has found a way to produce and deliver Taumoeba to Earth's solar system. Grace arrives home to find that Earth has been saved. His students have grown up and become scientists themselves, and humanity has survived the Astrophage crisis. The reunion between Grace and the people he thought he'd never see again provides an emotionally satisfying conclusion to his journey. Even more remarkably, Rocky has managed to visit Earth's solar system, leading to the first official contact between humanity and an alien species. This contact, based on the friendship and trust established between Grace and Rocky, opens up possibilities for future cooperation and understanding between their species. Themes and significance. Project Hail Mary explores several profound themes through its narrative. The central theme is the power of friendship to transcend differences, species, culture, language, and even biology. Grace and Rocky's relationship demonstrates that intelligence, curiosity, and compassion can create bonds between beings who have virtually nothing in common except their desire to understand and help each other. The novel also examines the nature of heroism and sacrifice. Grace's heroism doesn't come from superhuman abilities or grand gestures, but from his willingness to think clearly under pressure, work methodically through problems, and ultimately put the welfare of others above his own interests. His sacrifice is made meaningful not by its scale, but by its personal cost and emotional weight. Scientific curiosity and education are treated as fundamental human virtues throughout the story. Grace's background as a teacher shapes his approach to every challenge, and his ability to learn, adapt, and explain complex concepts proves crucial to the mission's success. The novel suggests that the qualities that make someone a good teacher, patience, creativity, clear thinking, and genuine care for others, are also the qualities that make someone a hero. The story also explores themes of communication and understanding. The process by which Grace and Rocky develop their common language serves as a metaphor for all human communication and connection. It shows how patience, creativity, and genuine desire to understand can overcome seemingly impossible barriers. Scientific accuracy and world building. Andy Weir's reputation for scientific accuracy is maintained throughout Project Hail Mary. The novel's scientific elements are thoroughly researched and plausibly presented, from the astrophysics of stellar energy consumption to the biochemistry of extremophile organisms. The astrophage themselves are conceived as scientifically plausible organisms with realistic energy requirements and reproduction cycles. The spaceflight elements of the story are particularly well crafted, showing realistic challenges of long-duration space travel, resource management, and the psychological effects of isolation. Grace's problem-solving approaches are methodical and scientifically sound, showing how real scientific thinking works under pressure. Rocky's alien biology and technology are imaginatively conceived but grounded in plausible evolutionary and physical principles. His species' development of advanced materials science and engineering is logically consistent with their physical environment and evolutionary history. Character development and growth. Grace's character arc is one of the novel's strongest elements. He begins as a somewhat unsuccessful academic who had given up on cutting-edge research to become a teacher. Through the course of his mission, he discovers reserves of courage, creativity, and determination he didn't know he possessed. His relationship with Rocky transforms him from a lonely, desperate man into someone capable of profound friendship and ultimate sacrifice. The alien partnership teaches him about different ways of thinking, different values, and different approaches to problem-solving, making him a more complete person and a better scientist. Rocky's character development is equally compelling despite the challenges of writing an alien perspective. He grows from a duty-bound individual focused solely on his mission to someone capable of friendship, humor, and creative thinking. His relationship with Grace expands his understanding of what's possible and valuable in relationships between intelligent beings. Conclusion and legacy. Project Hail Mary succeeds as both hard science fiction and emotional drama. It combines rigorous scientific speculation with genuine human emotion, creating a story that satisfies both intellectually and emotionally. The novel's exploration of friendship, sacrifice, and the power of scientific thinking resonates on multiple levels. The book's treatment of first contact is particularly noteworthy for its originality and emotional depth. Rather than focusing on conflict or conquest, it shows how two very different species can find common ground through shared curiosity and mutual respect. Weir's writing style, accessible, humorous, and scientifically grounded, makes complex scientific concepts understandable without sacrificing accuracy or dumbing down the material. Grace's first-person narration provides an engaging voice that combines scientific rigor with emotional honesty. The novel ultimately argues for the value of curiosity, education, and friendship as fundamental forces for good in the universe. It suggests that the qualities that make us human, our desire to understand, to teach, and to connect with others, are not just valuable for their own sake, but are potentially the key to our survival as a species. Project Hail Mary stands as a testament to the power of science fiction to explore profound questions about humanity, friendship, and sacrifice while telling an entertaining and emotionally satisfying story. It demonstrates that the best science fiction uses scientific speculation not just to imagine new worlds, but to illuminate fundamental truths about the world we live in and the beings we are.